What's up, guys? Welcome back to another video. Today I want to teach you 5 need to know terms for back to school. I know it's that time of year again. If you are a millennial like me, most likely you are a parent or not. That's cool. You do you. But you're excited for back to school right now because your kids back to school, and that means you get a little bit more peace and quiet at your house. I love my kids so much, but I will say I do love them going out there and getting their education, and I'm, here in the peace and quiet. Back to school, 5 terms that you need to know for back to school. And even if you aren't going back to school, these terms are just good to know in general. They're probably going to come up once or twice in your lifetime, so it's good to know. So number 1 vocabulary word that you need to know is cram. C-R-A-M. Cram. This just means to study intensely over a short period, usually before an exam or deadline. All right, so you're studying intensely over a short period of time, usually before an exam or deadline. You are cramming. You know the word cram? You usually use this when you're stuffing something into something, right? My oldest son, although I love him so much, we were trying to get him to clean his backpack and everything and get ready for the new school year. He didn't want a new backpack. He wanted to use his old one. I was like, okay.
Saves me money.
Perfect. You need to clean out your old backpack, throw away all your old stuff. Let's put your new stuff in so you're ready for the new school year. I opened his backpack and I'm not even joking. Things just fell out everywhere. Like he crams stuff into his bag. So this year we're going to work on organization skills with him, but he literally just takes his stuff and like crams it in the bag. No organization. Things are wrinkled, things are ripping, things are broken, just cramming it. Well, when you cram for a test, same thing. You open your brain and you stuff it full of all the knowledge you need to know, and you do it quickly. Usually when you cram something, you're quick about it. If you're putting something away and you have time, you're going to take that time to like, oh, let me open up my folder. Let me place this in my folder. Let me close my folder. Let me put it neatly back in my bag. That's not cramming. That's just putting your things away. But if you're cramming something, you're like, I gotta go. And you cram it in really quickly. That's the same thing, but for your brain. So if somebody's like, hey, did you study for that test like last hour, last period?
No, I crammed.
Last period. You know, when you're in high school and middle school, you have like 7 different classes. We call them periods. So you're like, no, I crammed last period for that, which means that short amount of time, I crammed everything in my brain, and we're just gonna hope and pray that I do good on this test. Cram. Intense studying for a short period of time before an exam or a deadline. So I have an example for you all, and the example for today is, I stayed up all night to cram for my biology final. I hope it helps. I stayed up all night to cram for my biology final. I hope it helps. And why does this example sound just like me? The last sentence, I hope it helps. That's totally me, especially biology when I was growing up. Science and math, not my forte, not my thing. But yes, cram, all right? So just intense studying, you're cramming. The second vocabulary word that you need to know if you're going back to school or just in general, or if you're curious, the second vocabulary word is flunk. F-L-U-N-K, flunk. What could flunk possibly mean? I know it's like a weird word to say, but flunk just means to fail an exam or course. To fail an exam or course. If you flunk something, it means you failed it, like complete fail. Not like, oh, I got a B or a C, because I know some of you people, you're overachievers. I know I have a lot of students that I love that are overachievers, and you guys believe that missing 2 points is failing. No, no, no. Flunking means you literally failed an exam or a course. You got an F, or you did so horribly that you can no longer pass. You flunk it, all right? Flunk is to fail an exam or a course. Now, I'm going to tell you guys something very embarrassing.
And me?
So when I was in 7th grade, I flunked my final exam for English. I know, you guys are like, oh, Carly, you're an English teacher. This is my deepest, darkest secret ever, because I am an English teacher, but I'm going to share it with you on YouTube. I flunked my final exam, which was worth over half of your grade, because there was a bully at my school and the bully was sitting next to me and he bullied me into giving him my answers on my test. So after I finished my test, I slid the paper over and I was like, allowing him to cheat off of me because honestly, I didn't want to be bullied and I wanted them to think I was cool that I let him cheat off of me. So that's what he was doing. And my teacher saw it and my teacher decided that he should get in trouble, but also I should get in trouble too because I allowed it, because I literally just gave him my test. So I got in trouble as well. I know. Still to this day, I'm like, it makes me angry to think about because I'm a teacher now and I would never do such a thing because I know bullying exists, but whatever.
I flunked.
My last final exam because you know what my teacher did? She took both of our tests and she tore them up. She sent us to the principal's office and she did not allow us to take a test again. So I flunked my English exam, my final exam, which was half my grade. I got a 0. That's like the worst flunk you can ever flunk, all right? A 0. And then I had to do summer school because I got a 0 on my final exam, which was worth half of my grade. So even though I had 100 in English, basically, because I had like a 99 because I've always loved English, boom, bumped it down to a 50, which is failing. And I had to go to summer school. And I spent the summer that year from 7th to 8th grade in English school, which I did amazing because I'm good at English, but still, I wasted my summer. It's been like 20 years and I'm still salty about it because why? Anyways, I flunked my English exam.
Anywho,
I have an example for you all for the word flunk, all right? So the example is, if you don't study for the test, you might flunk and have to retake the class next semester. If you don't study for the test, you might flunk and have to retake the class next semester. Flunk. Again, that just means to fail. And not just like, oh, I got a bad grade, which is a C. Fail, fail, fail. F, flunk. You cannot pass. All right, we're good. So we have cram, we have flunk. Vocabulary word number 3 is final or finals. All right, finals. Final is singular form. I know I've been having like a lot more grammar in my videos lately. I apologize. But if you have a final, it means one. If you have finals, it's plural, more than one. All right. So final is just exams or assessments that happens usually towards the end of a semester or the end of the school year that count towards your final grade. That's why it's called a final. They make up a significant part of your final score, your final grade. That's why it is called a final. Typically, you have more than one final because once you get into middle school, high school, college, you have many classes, right? And you have a final or a final exam, final assessment for each one of those classes. So that makes it finals. We say, oh, we have finals week, which means we have a week of testing. Like every day you have a different test. Sometimes you have 2 weeks of final exams and every day you have a different test. It's just a test or assessment exam that makes up a huge part of your grade that typically happens at the end of a semester, and most of the time it covers everything that you learned that whole year. Sometimes they can break it up and they have like a midterm, which is a bonus word for you all. A midterm means, let's say you have a school year. Here in America, most school years start in August, they end in May. So your midterm will happen around Christmas time. That's halfway through the school year and you're taking a test to review everything that you've learned so far. Then you come back from Christmas vacation and you have another half of the school year and you have a final, and that final will review or cover everything that you've learned since January, or sometimes everything that you learned the whole year. That was a little bonus for you, the word midterm. But a final is just the test, the exam, the assessment that happens at the end of a term, semester, or school year that counts towards your grade, like a huge part of your grade. Like I said in the last example, I failed my final exam for English when I was in 7th grade because somebody bullied me into allowing them to cheat off of me, and then that happened. So an example for you all today is finals week is always stressful, but it is important to stay focused and prepare well. Finals week is always stressful, but it is important to stay focused and prepare well. Again, final is singular, finals is plural. It's all just tests, exams, assessments that happen at the end of term or the end of semester, end of the school year. All right. So cram, flunk, finals, and next we have hit the books. So a little bit different. It's not really vocabulary, but like I said, it's just terminology that you need to know. So number 4 is actually an idiom, hit the books. Hit the books. If you hit the books, it just means that you start studying diligently and seriously. If you start hitting the books, it means you start studying more diligently and you're taking your grades or your schoolwork, whatever, more seriously. You're hitting the books or hit the books. Like, hey, I gotta hit the books. I gotta go study. I can't have any distractions. I need me and my book time. I gotta study. I'm gonna go hit the books. So quick little example before I give you the example sentence. Hit the books. I know sometimes idioms are confusing because when you are learning a new language, you can take it at like face value, which means if I say, hey, I'm going to go hit the books, you're probably like, what are you talking about? Why would you go hit books? Like, it's like you have a book and like you're hitting it. No, I know, like it's sometimes idioms are like that, but you have to. That's why it's important for you guys to study idioms and slang and expressions, colloquialisms, because you'll learn that hitting the books doesn't actually mean punching books, because that will be weird, right? That's like, oh, I'm sorry, I can't hang out tonight. I got to go hit the books. And you're like,
Are you okay? Like, are you stressed?
like, I know a good gym. You can like box. No, I don't have to actually hit the books. I have to study. I have to go study. I have to work hard, diligent, take my, grades seriously. I have to go hit the books. So an example of this is when I was in middle school or high school, I remember using this idiom and I had so many friends that were exchange student friends. If you talk to anyone that I went to high school with, they know Carley. They know me as that one girl that hung out with all the exchange students because that was me. I loved meeting people from other cultures and backgrounds and that spoke different languages. So like all the exchange students were my friends. Like that was my clique. That was my group. And I remember talking to one of my friends and I used this idiom and I was like, oh, I really want to go to the football game. I didn't want to go to the football game. It was just, I don't know. I tried so many things when I was a kid to like be more popular. Now that I'm older, I'm like, why did I do that? I never ever once actually wanted to go to a football game, but I did because all the cool people went to the football game. So I remember telling one of my exchange student friends, like, hey, I really want to go to the football game, but I really have to hit the books because I didn't study for my exams. And they're like, you have to what? And I'm like, I have to hit the books because I haven't studied for my exam. And they're like, huh? And I'm like, that could be confusing. I have to go study for my exam. And they're like, what did you say? And I explained. That was like probably one of the first times ever that I explained an idiom. Like now you can go and I have like almost 100 videos for you guys here. But that was like, I was like 15 years old and I explained the idiom, hit the books. And I remember them like being like, oh, okay, that makes sense. And I'm like, does it really? Because it doesn't really make sense when you think about it, but we say it. And I don't know why we say it. We just say it. All right. So hit the books just means to go study diligently or to take studying more seriously. It's to study, just to study. You got to hit the books. You got to study. All right. So an example sentence for you all. I have a lot of material to cover, so I'm going to hit the books this weekend. I have a lot of material to cover, so I'm going to hit the books this weekend. Again, hit the books just means to study. I'm doing it one more time. Cram, flunk, final, hit the books. And the last thing for you to know, which I'm pretty sure there's a lot more out there, but the top 5 that I believe you need to know for back to school is skip class. Skip class. And I think this is kind of self-explanatory. Like if somebody says they're going to skip class, you're like, oh, it means you're not going to be at class, right? You are correct. Skip class just means to miss a scheduled class without a valid excuse or permission. Skip class means to miss a scheduled class without a valid excuse or permission. The reason why I added this one, even though it seems self-explanatory, oh, you're skipping class, it means you're not going to be there. Yes and no. When you skip class, you deliberately decide not to go to class without any valid excuse or reason or permission. You're just like, I'm not going to class. I'm skipping class. I'm skipping class today because I don't feel like it. But the difference is if you miss class, it could be because you have a doctor's appointment. So that's an excuse. Because your grandma passed away. Let's hope not, but that's an excuse. Because you had to go out of town. that's an excuse. Because of a million different reasons that physically could not allow you to go to school, then you miss class. But if you skip class, there's no reason. You just don't want to do it. So you don't have an excuse. You don't have a reason why you skip class. You don't have permission to skip. You just do it. You skipped class because you're bored. And yes, some people might be like, well, the Taylor Swift concert tickets went on sale at 8 a.m. and my class is also at 8 a.m. So like I couldn't go to class. That is not an excuse. I know I'm going to get a lot of people out there that are like, but it's Taylor Swift. No. All right. That is not an excuse for you to skip class. You skipped class that day. You did not miss class. You skipped. Because unless Taylor Swift herself is going to write a note to your teacher saying,
excuse me, can you please excuse so-and-so from class because she had to buy my concert tickets? Thank you.
Then you skipped class, not missed. All right. So that's the difference. I know some people are like, oh, this is self-explanatory. Skip class means you don't show up. There is a slight difference. If you skip class, you deliberately do not show up because of no reason at all. You just don't want to go. But if you miss class, then you didn't show up because of whatever reason. All right. So an example I have for you all, he decided to skip class to go to the concert. Probably Taylor Swift concert. He decided to skip class to go to the concert. Skip class. So he missed it, but he didn't have an excuse. So that means he deliberately decided to go to this concert and he skipped class.
That's the difference.
I hope you guys have a better understanding of, in my opinion, the top 5. It's not really vocabulary because we did have one, we had like an idiom, and it's just back to school, top 5 back to school lingo. All right. Because we had a few vocabulary in there. We had a phrase, skip class is a phrase, and we had hit the books, which is an idiom. So top 5 back to school lingo. I hope you guys have a better understanding of everything that we went over today. If you do, please like, comment, and subscribe. And I hope to see you all in the next video.